movies because, like, okay, so we talked about the Journey Through Fairyland, which was a Japanese cartoon that came over to America in the 80s. Did anyone else watch the Japanese Thumbelina with where her mom was dying slowly in the real world the longer she was in there? And then there is
Is Thumbelina not supposed to exist in our plane of existence?
Well, in this version of Thumbelina,
just like a fairy.
in this movie of Thumbelina, so we used to watch this in the daycare that my mom used to work at, and so instead of being, the traditional, the old lady couldn't have a child, so she wished for one, and then the seed was like, "Hello, have a baby." This mother had a really ungrateful, miserable child, and she was reading her the Book of Thumbelina, and then she fell into like a coma, and the child shrank and became Thumbelina and had to get through to this, like, there was a king who was dying. The frogs tried to feed her these strawberries that would have turned her into a frog, and to trick them, she pretended to eat 2 out of the 3, so she didn't eat the third one, which changed her into a frog, and then she like shoved them into the crack of a floor. Anybody else? No? Not that Thumbelina?
I got nothing on that one.
Yeah, no, I
and
must have
and they're
missed
all voiced by Matthew Broderick, right?
Yes. No,
Nice.
actually,
Sounds right.
that one was Thumbelina. I'll find it.
Oh,
hello. While you're doing that, maybe we should play a game in between movie rants. Hello, everybody. We are live from the apocalypse. Thank you for joining us. We play tabletop role-playing games to benefit progressive causes and good organizations, and that's our whole thing. So if you like what you see here, don't do the normal Twitch things of subscribing or giving us bits if you don't mind. Most of that money ends up at Amazon HQ and does not actually reach us or the causes we are platforming. So instead of doing that, what you can do, which would be super cool of you, is to hit !donate in the chat, and that will call up the link that will let the bot you'll donate, but you'll do it through the bot, which will then make the McElroy brothers yell at us and interrupt whatever it is we're doing. And it'll be very distracting. We'll stop talking. Sometimes it's very startling, depending on what's going on. So feel free to do that at any moment with the $5, $6, whatever you would be spending normally. You can give it instead to the International Rescue Committee, which is the organization we are fundraising for right now. They are super important, doing super good work. They have been around for, I think, about 80 years at this point, doing humanitarian aid all over the globe. They are currently active in over 40 countries, including the United States of America. And
yeah, just fucking grip it and rip it, baby.
Thank you so much.
Slop that down, dude. Shit, yeah, dude. Crack one for the big
cool
boy.
because they're not yelling at me. I can see you suffering, but I can't hear it.
Case in point. That is what happens. And because that happens, we can go ahead and put our first advantage into the pool for our team to draw from as they may need it. So yeah, that's the $5, $6, whatever you would normally spend on a sub or bits or whatever. You just give it directly to the organization, and that would be awesome. Separate from that, if you do insist on subscribing, which we literally cannot stop you from doing, you are supporting the channel. We also have a Patreon, which is patreon.com/livefromtheapocalypse. I can never remember if I actually got around to setting up the command for this. I did actually. Wait, I remember. If you hit !support, then it will post the link to the Patreon. Subscriptions also, anytime Twitch pays us out for that, goes to that, but it's not the best way to do it. As we mentioned already, Amazon takes most of that money. So
yeah.
Sub to the Patreon if you want. There's some fun things in there. You can contribute NPC names that we will randomly use throughout play. If we need them. There's some other stuff too. You can create a superhero in our superhero podcast. Anyway, it's a good thing if you want to do it. And we have merch also, which I forgot to mention. livefromtheapocalypse.com. Everything lives there. Merch store, all of that. Go check it out if you want to. Anyway, I think that is like the stuff. I think that's who we are mostly.
Things?
The things, right. The stuff and the things. This is class reunion, but this ain't your daddy's class reunion.
Yeah, baby. Which daddy?
There's
so many Max.
So you may notice that we are missing one of our normal cast members for class reunion. Corey is not here. Corey is unfortunately, I'm assuming, trapped by the shackles of capitalism as we speak. And it is sad, but Corey will be back. You have not seen the last of Corey, and you may see Corey on some things you might not have seen Corey on before in the near future. Perhaps even a certain podcast if you want to keep an ear out for that. Instead, because we obviously cannot continue with the story of our heroes from Ohio who have been trapped in a fantasy world for 10 years, we are going to do a little bit of a different story while we do not have Corey. So from now until the end of December, we are going to be doing class reunion winter break, which is what you are here for. And we are joined by our special guest, Andrew. We will all go around and do some introductions and talk about the characters a little bit, but you will meet the characters in due time. But welcome, Andrew. Thank you for stepping in. And I'm excited to do this game because it is urban fantasy. It's set in our world. We are using Dungeons & Dragons rules because Class Reunion is a Dungeons & Dragons game, and I've never gotten to do that before, and I've always wanted to. So we're going to see how it goes. I am very excited, and I think that is probably enough talking. So guess it's time for me to do some talking. We'll start our introductions now. Go around and introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about what we do, and plug anything you want, and then talk about your character and who you're playing. So I will go first. Hello. I've been talking to you for how long now? 7 minutes. I've been talking to you for 7 minutes. My name is Will. I'm one of the GMs and the organizers here at Live from the Apocalypse. I do a bunch of stuff. I run this game. I run and edit Class Reunion, which is our Masks podcast, our Masks Actual Play podcast, and the aforementioned superhero content that you can check out on your podcast platform of choice. Tomorrow night, I will be playing Beauregard Darcel, the Monstrous playbook, in the final session of our Monster of the Week Wildcard Wednesday game, Dead in the Water, DM'd by JD. And I will let him talk more about that. But yeah, it's a good time. And I think miraculously, those are the only things I'm doing right now. Oh, I also played Julian Rue, the X-Team Rocket member turned chef in our Eldritch Horror tinged Pokemon TTRPG Missing Numbers. And yeah, I mean, there's a social account up there, but if you're going to follow anything, probably follow Live from the APOC because that's where all the cool stuff happens. The rest of this is just me making tweets at 1 a.m. that I shouldn't, and that's about me.
Valid.
So I will not apologize for art. And I'm going to stop talking now. Coincidentally, JD, you are up next.
Oh, dear God, why am I always up next? Hi, I'm JD. You can find me in a lot of things with Live from the Apocalypse. I'm in the usual Class Reunion game, playing a very different character in Class Reunion Winter Break. I'm in Academy H as Casimir Bright, aka Spectral, and I will be GMing tomorrow night for our last session, at least of this arc of Dead in the Water. We will see where things go from here, but I am very excited to bring that game, at least this part of the story, to a close. The last thing I'll put out there is I will also be joining the Lost Caravan for Locus, which is a one-shot series that starts this Thursday at 8 o'clock over on their channel. So go you'll get to see me then get tortured after I've tortured all of the players on Wednesday night.
There you go.
Snaps. Very good. Thank you so much. Raph?
Hello, I am Raph. I am also on the OG Class Reunion. I usually play Max on there. On here, I'm playing Ingrid Garcia. I play a lot of D&D, not in front of the camera. So sorry, folks. It's a private life here, okay? You can follow me for my political rants if you like. And then I have a little something to share here. Did you know that stars have different colors depending on their temperature. And what is the hottest color star, everybody, at once? That's right, it's blue. And the coldest? Brown.
Red.
The end.
Amazing.
That's the segment that we do every stream, Science Facts with Brad. We've always done it, and we always will do it, and you can't prove otherwise. Thanks so much, Raph. Juliet.
Hello, I'm Julia. I'm the local Delaware cryptid. Usually playing Kelly Violet on Class Reunion. Today I'm going to be playing Hazel Petrovich, who is very different from Kelly in a lot of fun ways. It'll be a good time. I'm also around on the Discord pretty often. I play Lyra in in Academy H, which I'm very excited to have come back on Sunday. I'm very excited to play neurotic teenager with control issues. Very exciting. And you can find me on pretty much all forms of social media under HexWhat. So that's me.
Oh, yeah. And our special guest, Andrew.
That's me. Hey, so I'm Andrew. I'm happy to be here. I believe this is actually the first time that Will and I have been in the same game on stream since the channel started, which is completely insane to me.
Except for that one Impulse Drive game.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
That was like proto Live from the Apocalypse. There was not even like really a channel then.
Yeah, that was the Live from the Apocalypse, like audience test phase, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's been a minute, so I'm happy to be here. I'm playing Valentin Sadova, a very enthusiastic artificer who is happy to be a member of this wonderful group and society that we're about to explore. In addition to this, for the next couple of months, I run the Veilbreakers 5e game on alternate Sundays from Academy H. I'm also doing a podcast recording with Part-Time Heroes. We're doing a thing called Shrunked, which is basically Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, using the Kids on Bike system. It's very entertaining. Got one episode already recorded, and we're going to be recording again in the next 2 weeks and keep that cycle going. And then as a preview for a couple things, I'm getting ready to run a Dungeons and Doggos game as one of our Wildcard Wednesdays with a couple cool cast members, and JD is going to be in that one. And then I'm also working for a cyberpunk game that's going to come out around December. So more to follow on that. But yeah, that's what I do. Run games compulsively.
Honestly, I'm just grateful that there's more compulsive game running, because now it's less likely that people will do the thing where they say, I don't sleep or I do too many things. Now everybody does too many things. And I cannot be held responsible.
There it is.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's freeing. I'm tired, but I'm free. All right. So all of that being said, with all of the introductions having been made, I think that we are going to go ahead and get right on into Class Reunion Winter Break. And I don't think there's any better way to do that than to set the scene. So there is another world, as we know all too well, as anyone who has followed this story of 4 unsuspecting teenagers from the Midwestern United States who accidentally found themselves in a world where magic and monsters were real. No. But this is not a story of that world. In this story, we are on Earth, planet that all of us here should be very familiar with. And we are on Earth, in a small place known far and wide as Ohio. A land perhaps no less strange, but familiar all the same. The Ohio that we see as we begin our tale, though, looks nothing like the Ohio that we are used to. Instead of flat land leading up to expansive cities, buildings rising high into the air, towering over everything around them, lakes stretching beyond human sight, end to end. There is little here other than wilderness. Slowly, at first, things begin to change. People arrive. The wilderness starts to become a little bit tamer as time begins to move a little bit faster. Forests falling and obstacles being paved over with dirt roads and then eventually giving way to concrete roads and asphalt as structures start to rise up. Wooden at first, crude, and then followed by metal and glass shining in the light. The stars in the sky become harder to see as lights, artificial lights from these cities takes over. And this particular location, the settlement begins small. It begins to grow outwards, expanding as time begins to pass faster and faster. We see, in the midst of all of this, a house being built, raised from the ground up as other structures rise up around it, at first smaller, and then quickly surpassing it in height and scale. But this house stands as the rest of Avalon builds up around it. This house remains constant and unchanging. Avalon grows from a small settlement into a town, and from a town into a city, full-fledged. But the house remains. People come and go throughout it. But as these people enter and leave the house, appearing and disappearing, one figure remains constant. A tall and slender man with dark hair graying at the temples. His hair changes as he grows. His hair changes as time passes. His beard grows and then is shaved and grows and is shaved. His clothing changes styles. But he remains, as do his steely eyes, the color of the sky before a storm. He stands at the threshold of this house as the passage of time starts to slow down once again as we approach the present day. We draw closer to the house, to where he has his back to us and is opening the door. As he does so, he turns around and looks directly at something no one else can see. He steps inside. He shuts the door quietly behind him. And it is in this place, in this time, that we begin our story. So, I think where we are going to begin is with Ingrid Garcia, who is arriving at Wick House, this house that we just spent thousands of years watching. And it was a huge place for a very, very long time. And now, as previously mentioned, it is somewhat dwarfed by the other structures that make up Avalon: skyscrapers, office buildings, things that you would expect cities to have. But it has this old world charm to it. And despite all of the things changing around it, really only one thing has changed about Wick House over the years. And that is that now there is a sign across the front door, across the top, that reads Avalon Historical Society. And Ingrid Garcia is just arriving for work. Ingrid, you have not been working at the Avalon Historical Society for a very long time. I think we said maybe a bit under a year.
Yeah, I want to say it's been about 7 months, 8 months maybe.
Okay. And as you approach the front door, what does Ingrid look like? What is Ingrid's vibe?
Ingrid is a tall, lanky woman. She's got one thick black braid that kind of falls down pretty long with some streaks of gray sparkling in there. It's pretty messy, and by thick I mean it's probably because she hasn't showered. It's full of dirt and doesn't really wash her hair much, but braid keeps it out of the way. She's wearing a button down, like, beige shirt. It's rolled up at the sleeves, all stained with grass. Not because she wasn't washing it, but because, sometimes grass and dirt likes to stick to you. And wearing some dark brown jeans, kind of like an earthy brown green, and some thick boots. Not for stomping, but definitely for walking. Well, more like hiking, really, but yeah. She's also wearing a baseball cap. Got to protect yourself from the sun. And she
is. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say when she kind of approaches the door, she quickly kind of swoops down and picks at a little daffodil that's at the door, and kind of blows it. Says, "Good luck out there, little buddy." Throws it to the side.
Perfect. And Ingrid is, you said, in the 30s, roughly?
Yeah, she's 38. Although
Okay.
she, not really keeping count. She usually spends her birthday in the woods, so the days kind of all meld together. Her driver license says 38, but also it's expired, so who knows, really? She hasn't driven in a long time, so.
All right. And you open the front door of Wick House, which just, swings open very easily. You step inside, and the house itself is, at least the first floor of the house, resembles a cross between a museum and like a special collections library. There are display cases set up all over that have documents in them, some historical items. It would probably be generous to call them artifacts, considering that this is a town in Ohio, but various objects that date back to the incorporation of Avalon and its founding. There are many of these cases spread around. The walls of the house appear to be sort of oddly decorated by many clocks from different time periods. The only commonality that they seem to share is that they all seem to have carved faces incorporated into their designs. There's one that sits right by the entrance that sort of resembles this like old man of the woods, like a tree with the face of an old man kind of carved into it. You can see more as you look around, birds, a hound here or there, lots of different animals, and some that are just sort of people's faces with different degrees of accuracy. There's also a little corner gift shop set up inside the Historical Society building, Wick House, which is really just kind of a few pegs attached to the wall where there hang a few t-shirts. There's a little rotating rack that has some keychains on it, and there are postcards, things you would expect, a few prints of different parts of Avalon. Most notably, the shirts and the keychains, many of them say the same thing, which is they're basically just simple, solid color shirts with how dare you?
Where's the gun?
This is my legacy. He can reverse it. He's just gonna point it back at you. This is what he does. This is what he does every time. Yep. Sorry, their shirts are just sort of solid color with white text across them that say Avalon in big letters, and then in parentheses underneath it, the one in Ohio. And then there is I don't remember if I mentioned this already, but there is a desk, like an information desk. It has some pamphlets and some brochures and things like that set on it. And seated behind that desk is one of your coworkers, someone you recognize. You recognize Valentine. And Andrew, if you would like to describe Valentine.
Of course. Valentine is a about 5'9", 5'10", kind of broad-shouldered Estonian man. He is got like a bit of a tan. He's got like longer dark hair with like flecks of like gray. Kind of matches his like kind of big but well trimmed beard that he's got going on. And he's got probably one of the gift shop t-shirts on right now. It says, welcome to Avalon. Yes, the one in Ohio. Something, and it's just kind of hanging out with his coat, like a nice kind of thick, almost leather trench coat or duster put off to the side, and also has a belt of just various tools on him. So just like a little multi-tool here, and like a little loop for a hammer and a couple screwdrivers. And he's like just working on fixing one of those display cases that broke the other day. And he's got like a couple screw parts everywhere, and like has a few springs. He's organized on the counter, and to match your boots, he also has some very thick boots, but they are construction style. Right, they are designed for actual stomping and protection. Right, but I think he hears the bell ding, or hears the door open when you walk in, and he just says, Ingrid. Morning.
Morning to you, Valentine.
How was your day?
Well, started off with the whole routine, waking up, brewing a little bit of tea from my tea leaves, appreciating the sun. I like to lay out there nude.
Well,
I just like to get a little bit of the earth in me, as the day starts. You should try that. It just opens up a lot of you and can really connects you to what's going on in nature, which honestly, this town has really separated itself from. It's too bad to see.
I think Valentine keeps a good poker face, but you see like a little bit of red just kind of creeping in under his cheeks of like, thank you for the invite. Yes, it is always nice to get outside and get reconnected to things. Can you help me with this, please? And he kind of like holds part of the shelf. You hold this here. And like
sure.
starts screwing something in. I tried to make modification to the cabinet. It broke. I now need to fix it before Mr. Tully sees it.
Oh boy, I don't let him catch you.
I
feel like you're a bit of a handyman. I feel like you'll figure it out.
I thought if I did it right, it would have more space for display. And I measured only once. Mistake.
What are you displaying?
Like dangles some of the new key changes they got in.
Is that purple? I don't know if I've seen purple ones yet. That's nice.
It's brand new. Very,
they're the same.
Exciting.
Otherwise, they're yeah, but they are purple,
couple new
which
colors.
Is very exciting. So as you are doing this, hello Corey, welcome. Thanks for hanging out. I hope work is not too terrible. Also, sorry that I used your government. But as you are, Ingrid, as you are helping Valentine with the rack, the clock of the woodsman's face opens its eyes. And it's hard to tell exactly where it's looking, obviously, as it lacks any pupils, but the mouth opens and it speaks in a very gruff, sort of oddly echoey voice and says, there is a staff meeting.
Very good.
I'm not really used to trees speaking to me. Actually, that's not true. I just didn't want to seem like a little bit crazy, but not trees with faces.
I am not a tree.
No, not trees with faces.
I'm not even a clock. I am house.
It's house.
Well, all right then. You said staff meeting house now?
Same as always.
Staff meeting.
And is that good? It's 30? Ancient? Wise?
The woodsman face just sighs without air and closes its eyes again.
He does not like to converse as much. It's a shame, really.
Right. Well, I was just trying to be polite, but I don't really like talking.
Well, I think like bangs a hand on top of the shelf and like kind of rocks and is sturdy and goes, I think we are good here.
Does it fall apart after you hit?
I'm gonna straight up roll a proficiency roll. I'm gonna do it. I'll roll a proficiency for this thing in tools. That's an 18. All right.
Okay. It does not fall apart.
Yeah.
It stands.
Solid
nice.
build.
It stands.
So
Cool. So you were called to the staff meeting, which will probably be on the second floor, where your office, your shared office, is. Presumably you are gonna go join that. But in the basement of Wick House, down the stairs behind a locked door, at least locked during business hours, we see what looks more like a traditional library. There are rows and rows of shelving units that stretch pretty much to the floor to ceiling, and they are packed with books. And some of those books are pretty much exactly what you would expect. Some sort of historical texts on Avalon itself, some local author collections, travel guides, manuscripts that look very old, and things like that. But the farther back into the rows that we get, the more the topics seem to vary into the occult and the strange, magical, supernatural, even. Grimoires and scrolls, even. As we look through them, it becomes clear that the value of the material housed here is nigh incalculable. It is an incredibly complete collection. And towards the back of the basement, there stands a glass booth that is presumably airtight. There are several tables inside of it with different books spread out across them in various stages of repair or restoration, conservation. Some tools sitting out as well on those same tables. But is that where Ambrose is? Have they started working yet?
Yeah, I think that is exactly where Ambrose is this morning.
Okay, cool. And what would you like to describe Ambrose?
I would like to describe Ambrose. So Ambrose is potentially the tallest one in the group, also the youngest, I believe. They are 27, and they are 6 feet tall, but it's usually around 6'2", 6'4", because they're either wearing combat boots or boots with lifts. So it's always like 2 to 4 inches more than their actual height. Their hair is currently a vibrant blue that would be down to their shoulders if it weren't tied back in a messy bun that is just filled with pencils and pens. And they have a little bit of light scruff of facial hair that is honey blonde. Their eyes are green, and they are wearing a unique outfit for the job that they are doing. They are dressed in a crop top that is black and laces up, but is mostly unlaced. And they are wearing a pair of tights under booty shorts that say, "And yet to me, what is this quintessence of dust?" on the back. And they also, today, their boots, which are always some variation on the sunrise and sunset. We're going to say it's a sunset day, so that is what is on their feet. So that is Ambrose, and they are doing some repair work on one of the older pieces in the archive. Potentially one that Hazel may have taken out recently.
And the the conservation booth being, environmentally sealed as it is, are you listening to music? Are you doing anything, or are you just purely focused?
Yeah, I would say if it's allowed in there, they probably have AirPods in. And they're listening to a playlist.
Great. Okay, so you are working on this book, working on restoring it, or at least, stopping it from deteriorating it any further. And you are very absorbed in your work, but after, you're not sure exactly how much time passes before you notice, but eventually you do happen to sort of glance up as you are stretching, and you see the clock, the only real clock that is placed down here as part of the collection, which is mounted on the wall. It is a round, wooden carved clock with brass hands, and in the center of it there is the face of a frog.
Nice.
And you can see the frog has this sort of annoyed expression, and its mouth is open like it is yelling, but obviously you cannot hear through your AirPods or in the conservation booth.
Yeah, and so I feel like Ambrose like just sort of slowly notices that and does not have any sense of urgency, like just kind of takes that in and then like points to the AirPods first of all, and then gestures towards the booth, and then holds up a finger indicating that they will be out in a moment.
The frog, if possible to imagine, rolls its eyes.
And they just shrug.
When you do emerge, well, first I think what House is going to try to do, House is going to try mouthing staff meeting at you. And whether or not you receive the message, or whether or not you receive the message and choose to acknowledge it or respond in any way or pretend feign ignorance, is totally up to you. But that is what it's going to try first.
Yeah, I feel like by that point, Ambrose isn't even looking at the clock. So,
okay.
Yeah, House is desperately trying to get their attention, and they're just like slowly packing their stuff up and like organizing it, definitely taking their time.
Okay. With a huff, the frog clock goes dormant again, until you exit the booth, at which point it will come back, animate again, and will say, just in the clippest way imaginable, staff meeting. And that's it.
And Ambrose is just going to say, House, you know I can't hear you when I'm in there.
You receive no reply. But one of the less valuable volumes on one of the shelves falls to the ground.
Oh, don't you do that, House. Not the books. They'll pick that up and reshelve it before they head up to the staff meeting.
Perfect. You're making your way up the stairs. As you are doing so, I'm going to say, Valentine, you're also making your way up the stairs, and you pass. Stop. Yep. You pass a different clock. With this one is, we'll say this is the like bloodhound clock. So it's the dog face with the very droopy sort of mouth, and the clock face itself is set between its ears, which have been carved to sort of like rise up on either side around it and framing it. And the hound's mouth opens as you pass it and says, Valentine, someone will have to retrieve Miss Petrovich. She is in the gray room.
Valentine just nods, goes, I will get her.
Thank you.
I'll keep going. I'll see you there.
Good. Well, I'll see you at the meeting. I poop the clock and start walking downstairs.
Okay. Ingrid, you get the distinct impression that House was not speaking to you. But yeah, so you make your way into the office where all of your desks are gathered. So there are 4 desks in this room, and they are in various states of messy or neat depending on your individual preference. They kind of have all of the different materials and things you would need to do your respective jobs here at the Historical Society. So you've got, some paperwork, I imagine, just stationery, computers, normal things you would expect from an office. There is a small It's not a kitchenette, but there's a counter in the corner. There's like a mini fridge tucked under it, and there's like a coffee maker, different sugars and flavored syrups and things like that to choose from. I imagine general rule is like whoever's there. Yeah, totally. Cool.
I'll start brewing some tea.
You start brewing tea. Valentine, you are continuing to make your way up to the third floor, I imagine.
Yeah, I said down, so I think he does walk to the bottom of the flight of stairs, stops, just curses, and then starts walking back upstairs. Cool. Just in an absent-minded moment.
The stairway that leads up to the third floor through the office is the walls of the staircase are decorated in framed portraits. Some of them are paintings. Some of them are photographs that range from black and white to full color. And in each of them, there is one man, different men, as you know, the Wick family. But they, at least in these portraits, always appear to be alone, solitary. They are also, there's a strong family resemblance between each and every one of them. Styles change, hairstyles, clothing styles, all of that, different amounts of facial hair, but they are all tall. They are all on the slender side. And the ones that have color, you can tell they all seem to gray early, and it never seems to progress much past that, as well as they all seem to have the same sort of stormy, intense gray eyes. And the last one, as you pass it and reach the top of the stairs, there is a landing. There's a little bit of storage on the third floor, but the last picture that you walk past is of Martin Wick, the current founder, which is you're not sure if it's a title or an honorific or really what it is, but that's how you were introduced to him when you started working here. And similar to all of his ancestors, tall, slender, intense gray eyes, dark hair that is graying at the temples. And he is in this particular picture, he is wearing a suit standing outside of Wick House, much like all of the other members of his family in all of these pictures. Suit is of a very modern cut. You would estimate that this picture, if you're judging off of his current appearance, you would estimate that this picture could have been taken as recently as a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah, I think Valentine does take about a half step. He slows down about half a step to kind of look at these pictures, just because they're interesting, right? He's not scrutinizing them, but he's like, oh yeah, I've seen these a lot, but it's kind of cool to see these beautiful portraits of all these people, and so he's just admiring them as he goes up the stairs.
And as you reach the top of the landing, there are two doors aside from this sort of open storage attic situation. One door, leads to the bulk of the third floor, and these would be Martin's private quarters. It's a simple, plain door, except that there is what looks like a lit candle, the image of a lit candle, carved or burned into the door. And you would know from many warnings and just prior knowledge that the doors to Martin's rooms are always locked, even when he is at home. Okay. The other door is a little bit at odds with the rest of the house, because this house is very old, and all of the wooden components, by and large, are of a very rich and dark wood. Very old and very treated and well maintained. But this door is flat gray, possibly carved out of ash. You're not certain exactly what the material is, but it only has a simple doorknob There's a lock underneath it, but whether or not the lock works, you're actually not sure about. And over top of it, over top of the doorway, there is one of those light bulbs inside of a sort of a metal cage attached to the wall. And it is currently lit, but the light that it gives off, if you didn't know any better, you would think was also gray, if such a thing is possible.
Have to change that light bulb later. Okay. Is that room public or private?
Very private.
Okay, so I'll knock on that door then. Just because, I'm getting lay of the land, but Valentine would know. Knock a couple times.
Okay. And we will see the inside of the room. True to its name, as it was called by House, it is gray. The only light that is visible in here also is of that very pale gray cast. The walls of this room, which is very small, maybe the size of a walk-in closet, but the walls have shelves set into them, running all the way around in a very sort of uniform way. In one corner, I imagine there might be a few pillows piled up, but there are no chairs. There's really no space to work here. Just these like odd objects on shelves. Things like empty specimen jars. Here or there, a rusted weapon pitted with age. The handle of a gardening tool of some kind that has been shattered. Odd things like that. A pair of glasses, one lens has been cracked. And in the center of the room, there is a stand set on the floor, rises up about 3 to 4 feet or so to waist height, with a clearly made to hold a book. And just such a book is sitting on top of it, closed. It is a black volume, bound a very long time ago. There is no title written on it, no author, no credit, nothing given, no real indication as to the subject matter either. And standing in front of it, you see Hazel. Would you like to describe Hazel?
Yeah, sure. So Hazel actually is probably dressed the most professional out of everyone, but in still like a business casual way. So she has a shoulder length black hair that's kind of like all over the place. It's a manish almost with like volume, and she has dark brown eyes, and she's wearing sort of like a red turtleneck with a little orange type of like jacket over top and like a gray pencil skirt and tights. She is wearing boots. She's not a fool. She knows where she works. So the boots are kind of the one thing out of her outfit that's kind of out of place, but she kind of makes up for it with those like fluffy Midwestern boot socks that like sorority girls wear with her tights and her boots. The practical footwear for the kind of stuff that she knows goes on around here. But otherwise kind of a very like business casual type of look. And when she hears the knock on the door, she pauses from her task, which she's going through the pages of the book, just making sure that all the pages that were there yesterday are still here. This is kind of like her habit. The first thing she does is she does inventory every day before she does much of anything else. So she pauses and waits to hear if there's a knock again.
I'm going to say that you don't hear the knock at first as you flip through the pages of the book, as you touch each one in the corner and start to flip it to the next one. You are kind of absorbed into your work as you do so. It's easy to kind of lose track of time in this task, as you well know, as every time you touch one of the pages, you almost perceive like a whisper or a sense of something as you are going through it, like a promise of violence here. And as you flip to the next page, it transitions to briefly what sounds like a woman's voice crying and asking for help. And as you flip, beyond that to the next one, it sorry, I'm giving up on that. I can't find music that I like. But as you flip through to the next one, just a vast and yawning emptiness that feels like it goes on forever. And the next page, is the voice of the voice of a lover that you had in college, like calling your name, and so on and so forth. And as you get drawn further and further into this, you are suddenly startled out of this by a knock at the door that you hear. At least you are pretty sure you hear it. It's hard to tell.
And so she gets pulled out of the book and she pauses. She lifts her hands off of the book and waits to hear if she hears it again, just to make sure it's a real noise. And so
I think it's safe to say that.
Yeah, after about 10 seconds, there's like a slightly louder, followed by a Hazel, we have a staff meeting.
Okay. And then she will reach down into she's got like a little work bag with her, and she'll reach down and she will get just like a thin black ribbon to use as like the bookmark for this, and she'll just set it, carefully close the book, and then she crosses the room and opens the door. And she doesn't open it all the way to expose the room. She opens it a little bit and she half leans out to see who's in the hallway. And when she sees who it is, she's gonna smile and she's gonna say, "You want a riddle?"
I do like riddles. Yes, please.
Okay. What has 13 hearts and no other organs?
Some cryptid?
No. And as she's like, no. And then she kind of pushes him back so she can exit the room. She closes the door, looks up to see if the light goes off.
Yeah, as you close the door, the light flips off.
And she turns, she's like, no, 2 more guesses.
2 more? Okay. I was kind of walking way down the stairs.
Yeah.
I was like, 13 hearts. And 1 what?
And no other organs. 13 hearts, no other organs.
I don't know, actually.
Do you want me to tell you? Do you want to see if the others know?
Oh, yes. Let's ask them. Please, don't let me spoil all the fun.
You know who'll probably know? Arthur will probably know.
Well, he does love mind games, yes.
You step down the stairs past all of the different portraits and into the shared office where, Ambrose, you have joined them as well. So it's just you and Ingrid standing there. Hazel and Valentine, you descend the staircase from the 3rd floor. At that same moment, the door that's a little ways down the hall on the 2nd floor that has a simple plaque on that says director opens, and Arthur Tully steps out. He is an aged gentleman. He looks like he is probably in his late 50s, early 60s. He has a very closely and neatly kept beard. His head is bald. He is not in what you would call, fighting shape, but he is also not. Let himself go. He is in surprisingly good shape for his age. He has a vest on over a white button-down shirt, black pants, very shiny black shoes. And he walks with a cane that thumps against the floorboards as he walks into the office.
Is it like a boot cane or just a...
I thought about it, so we can say that the top of it, the part that he holds, is carved to resemble an upside-down boot.
Amazing. Incredible.
Bless.
Love it.
Just to keep on theme. And boot cane. Michael Caine. Anyway.
That's actually the actor who's playing Arthur Tully, so.
True
That's
story.
actually the actor who's playing the cane. He steps into the room. There is a chain that travels, from his waist into one of the pockets of the vest. You know for a fact that it holds a pocket watch, and he stumps into the room and pauses for a second to catch his breath, and looks around at all of you and says, "Well, thank you all for your promptness and reporting. Has everybody been well? How has your morning been?"
Been here since 4. So it's been going well.
We've sold about $15 of merch. Is that the term, merch? Yes. Gift shop items. Come downstairs today.
That is impressive. Hazel, I hope that is not the business that brought you in at 4 a.m.
No. I was just I had a thought last night about like mating habits of like those really big spiders, and I had to go down and do some like extra research before I went up to do inventory. So I was downstairs this morning.
Hazel, you need to put the books back. I love you, but you need to put the books back on the shelves.
But I wasn't done with them, Ambrose. I didn't take them. You told me not to I couldn't take them out of the basement, so I left them where I could find them later. See?
Well, you won't be able to find them later because they're back on the shelves.
House will tell me where they are. House always tells me where they are. It's fine.
Me and House are going to talk.
It's true. I will. And Arthur chuckles lightly, and says, I just, nothing could be so dire that it would bring you in at quite that hour. At least none of our normal working responsibilities.
No. I was just the Joes found a spider nest at the house, and they pulled it down and they ripped it apart and were chasing and eating the little spider eggs. And I was just thinking about spiders after that.
The Joes.
My Uncle Nick's cats.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, yeah. Billy Joe, Bobby Joe, and Betty
okay,
Joe.
I forget.
The Joes.
Yes. Yes, no.
Cats.
Right, yes. Of course, the cats. He kind of shakes his head as he does so. Hazel, it's the weirdest thing that, has always kind of happened, but like nobody else ever talks about the Joes. I'm not sure anybody else has ever seen them.
I mean, that's fair. They live at my uncle's house. The only person they talk to is me, because my uncle's traveling now that he's retired.
Mm-hmm. And Arthur will pull out a pair of glasses from one of the other pockets of his vest and sort of clean it off on the edge of his shirt and put them on, kind of places his cane firmly on the ground in front of him and sets his hands on top of it. He looks a little solemn. And he says, well, I'm afraid this is a bit different than our normal staff meetings. I'm afraid that there is news that I must share with you that affects all of us. He kind of starts to walk a little bit, pacing, but at a very, very slow pace, placing the cane on the ground in front of him and, following with his feet back and forth. You all know Master Wick, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You all do, because, in your late night activities, Martin Wick, the current founder of the Avalon Historical Society, is often present with you. He has fought alongside you and saved some of your lives, probably. And he has proven himself time and time again as, mysterious as he is, as rarely as he is around, that when he is more than capable combatant, and a gifted magician. Master Wick has he is traveling abroad. He has left Wick House for the foreseeable future.
Is everything okay?
Yeah, is that bad?
Is he just like visiting the family that we never see and he rarely talks about?
He has very deeply personal business to attend to that is taking him far, far away. And he is unsure if he will ever return.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Doesn't really sound like traveling if you don't come back home, does it?
Yeah, I think that's just moving.
Perhaps. I think the difference lies in the intention. And it is not his intention, he wanted me to express, to leave and never come back. But his business is of a very dangerous nature, in addition to being deeply personal. And I'm afraid I don't know much else myself beyond that.
If he is in danger, does he need help? I understand it may be personal, but wouldn't want to see someone get hurt if they could simply ask for help.
Especially when, that's kind of like our job, which he
Mhm.
kind of hired us for. So, like,
Mhm.
Especially when he's kept us alive.
Mhm.
Our job is quite different, and little has changed in terms of our work, the work of the society. Master Wick is attending to his matters, his business, and it is our business to make sure that Avalon and its curious intersectionalities are protected and safe, in addition to its citizens. And that has not changed, and it will not change. All of the funding for the society remains in place, and Master Wick has entrusted me with full executive power. So while he will not be present and he will not be available, very little else will be changing.
Well, all right.
Okay. Wish you'd
I know
said
you
something
all.
before you left.
Yes, I know you all had different degrees of familiarity with Master Wick and different levels of friendship. And I think as Arthur says this, you all kind of, remember kind of like drifting back to, in your memories, to when you first sort of came to Wick House. Ingrid, obviously, yours was most recent, and you kind of drift back to thinking about how you were camping and doing a little bit of forestry, a little bit almost like a year ago, out in the middle of nowhere, basically. And this thing kind of burst out of the woods at you. This creature that you had never seen anything like it before. At first, you thought, maybe it was a mountain lion, but it was far too big to be a mountain lion. And then you thought maybe it was a bear or something like that, but it was just wrong. It wasn't shaped correctly. It didn't move correctly either. And it almost looked like it had been a person at one point, but now it was barely recognizable. And this, dark figure basically emerged out of nowhere and pulled you away from it. Over the course of a night, the two of you tried to stay alive. Him protecting you and you guiding the both of you through the forest paths until the sun was starting to rise and you'd managed to avoid or escape from several encounters with this thing. You reached the top of the small mountain in the vicinity that you were exploring through. And this thing was like facing you down directly across from you. And, the sun sort of crested over. And as it hit this creature, it exploded into sparks. And, as Martin, thanked you and kind of looked you over and asked you if you'd like a job, basically. And, more than a job, a calling. And it was it was a very strange experience because it almost sort of it almost sort of was an automatic response after you said yes. It was clear to you that the way you were doing was some kind of, there was power behind what you were doing, but the correct answers came very easily to you. He asked if you would guide the others to where they needed to go. If you would never waver from the path and always find your way home. You said almost automatically, I so swear, to each of these questions. And as you finished for the last time, as you answered for the last time, he sort of set his hands over top of you. You realized that you were kneeling, but you didn't remember when you had knelt on the mountaintop. And he kind of spread his hands over you and said something in a language that you did not understand. But you felt something course through you, wash over you in that moment. And you came back to Avalon and joined the Avalon Historical Society. Hazel, you remember the first time your uncle brought you to Wick House when you were much, much younger, I imagine. And you explored more than you should have. You kept trying to get up the stairs to the third floor and kept getting caught. And, he would chide you. And at one point, you obviously didn't listen, but you managed to get away at one point when he was distracted, climbed up the stairs to that third floor. And right as you reached the top, and you saw the door to the gray room for the first time, the other door opened. You looked up and saw Martin Wick standing there for the first time. You were a child, so he looked like a giant, and he had this big beard at the time, these like dark, not dark, but these like intense gray eyes looking out from behind these bushy brows, and he looked down at you very sternly, and you kind of froze, and he stepped across the room, stepped across the hall to stand in front of the door, looking like he reached for the doorknob and then made a big show of it being locked, like he couldn't open it. Sort of got to the point where it was very slapsticky, like he was pulling and pushing at it, and almost fell down at one point because he was pulling so hard, and it suddenly slipped from his grasp, and fell backwards, and you laughed. It was very funny. But in the aftermath of that, your uncle, you heard your uncle calling from you downstairs and ran away before you got in trouble. You remember the last time your uncle brought you here, after explaining the rest of your family's legacy. And you remember climbing that staircase again, but this time as an adult, and reaching the doorway to the gray room. You remember that suddenly you were also kneeling, and Martin was standing in front of you, much like he was when you were a child, but this time without jokes or pantomime or anything. And you remember him almost intoning, asking you if you swore to balance the scales, if you swore to stare into the abyss that others may not have to, and to walk a delicate line to better understand each side. And you remember intoning, "I so swear," put his hands over your head and said something in a language you didn't understand, and you similarly felt this power wash over you. And your uncle cleared his throat and opened the door and let you into the great room. Valentine.
Me.
You. You had been at Wick House for some time before you even met Martin Wick. And what drew you there in the first place doesn't really matter. You were spending some time here. You were helping out, volunteering, not an employee, obviously, but I think it took some time of doing that before Martin started to take note of you. You would catch him looking at you periodically and somewhat intensely, particularly at moments when you were interacting with others, with Arthur or the other employees. And one day, as things were starting to close for the day, he asked you to stay behind. He asked you if you wouldn't mind staying. And it wasn't to fix anything or help him with anything in particular. Instead, he got a bottle of scotch down out of a cabinet and poured a couple glasses, sat down with you, and asked you to tell him about yourself and what had brought you here in the first place, and not just to Wick House, but America. And he listened, and
yeah, if he let me, I would have talked his ear off that entire night. Especially
yes,
like with Scotch
absolutely.
going down, it was just here's my entire life story, volume 1, 2, 3, 4. I have more in the truck. Hold on. Like it was.
Yeah. And he absolutely would have let you just talk the whole time. He would have laughed, at the appropriate moments and smiled at the others and grew very, steely-eyed and quiet at moments where it was more serious, darker subject matter. And at the end of it, at the time you chalked it up to maybe the alcohol, but you found yourself kneeling on the ground, and he looked down at you with those intense eyes, and he asked you if you'd like to be here, if you'd swear to protect others, to always be the first one through the door and the last one out, to guard the ways and also close them behind you. And above all else, make sure that everyone walked away. And you so swore.
So swore.
In the aftermath, you feel that same sort of rush coursing through you, and you sort of hear this, again, not sure if it's the alcohol or not, but as you so swear, and he puts his hands over you and he says this language, he says this saying in a language you don't understand. Could have sworn you heard this clinking of raised glasses and many, many voices shouting a boisterous huzzah.
Excellent.
And Ambrose.
Yes.
You also, I think, remember the first time you met Martin Wick, but in your case, Martin Wick found you. Whether by chance or on purpose, Martin Wick entered your life and did not leave, no matter how hard you might have tried to make him. You would bump into each other in a lot of different places and circumstances throughout your life, and always kind of surprised to see you, but never that surprised. And eventually, I think when you were kind of desperate for work and you had taken a job at a local like chain bookstore, he would have started coming in more regularly and started asking you to recommend books to him based on different interests that he had at that time. His taste always seemed to vary from visit to visit. He was always on to like a new topic. And at a certain point, it kind of became a personal challenge, or like a game that you would play where you would try to have a suggestion ready for as many different topics as you possibly could. You kind of found yourself making lists, whether or not you really picked up on what an important part of your life this was becoming. You started spending a lot of time doing this and preparing for these conversations. And one day, I think things were getting, I think things at work for you were getting very frustrating because you were getting consistently reprimanded for spending too much time, with one customer. Like you would have these conversations and these reading advisories that would last hours, maybe even the majority of your shift sometimes. And you were, getting spoken to. And I think at a certain point, Ambrose being Ambrose, you could not put up with it anymore. And you quit right on the spot and stormed out past Martin, who was just entering the bookstore, and he held the door open for you to let you out. And
can't slam the door when you do that.
That is true. And he kind of fell into easy step beside you and just started. You shared an easy silence for a while, and he would have consciously or unconsciously steered the two of you towards one of the public parks in Avalon, which was dominated in the center by a stone sculpture resembling an archway, similar to the ones at Stonehenge. And in this park, where there's a playground to one side and parents and children playing, he would have offered you a job. In the aftermath of that job offer, you sort of realized, consciously or unconsciously, that there was more weight behind it than you originally thought. You found yourself dropping to one knee. He asked you if you would always, unflinchingly, seek the truth. Never settle for half answers when the whole one could be found. And whether or not you would use that knowledge to better serve those who would defend this world. And to never shy away from the truth, no matter how uncomfortable or scary it might be. You so swore, and in the as he chanted the words over you and pulled his hands away, you felt all of this knowledge and memories, not yours, rush in. Things you could never have seen or read or known. It was very overwhelming, and he kind of led you to a bench and sat you down in it until the head rush settled and things became a little bit quieter. And he told you the time and location to report for your first day of work. And that was that. And the rest, as they say, is history. You are in your place of work, in the office, with your boss, still telling you about the founder leaving. He says, I know some of you had long histories with Master Wick, and some of you barely even had the opportunity to know him.
I remember when I thought he was stalking me.
He was an eccentric man. Is
yes,
an eccentric man.
That sentence was going to end right there.
Yeah, he was. Period.
Oh my.
But well, we still have a job to do, and I trust that all of us together will be more than up to the task of seeing it through. Now then, business as usual, and he pulls a folder, manila folder out from under his arm and drops it open onto one of the desks in front of him. We'll say it's your desk, Ingrid, since that's probably the most empty. And looks down at it and says, now, it looks like we have a school visit this afternoon, so I will need everybody in their places as needed. Valentine, I will need you to greet and give a little bit of information at the door. Ingrid, have you been practicing the tour?
I mean, I will do my best, but I like to throw in a little. I like to, add a little tweaks, a little improvise a little bit.
Well, that is fine. Just make sure that we are improvising truthfully.
I would never lie. Just there's a lot of history in this house. That's true, Ambrose.
Yes. Ambrose, you will need to. Ambrose, I'm sure that you will be attending to your normal duties. Have you finished rebinding the manuscript?
Not quite yet, but I should be able to do that if you give me a half hour.
All right, excellent. And Hazel, I will need those financial reports on my desk.
Okay. That's fine. Let me think. 2 hours.
Excellent. All right. Well, you have your responsibilities and things.
Wait.
Yeah, I got questions as well.
Very well.
Mine'll be quick. Because I asked Valentine earlier and he didn't know. What has 13 hearts and no other organs?
This feels unrelated to work.
It's not
Come
cryptid.
on.
Is it a cow?
It's not a cow. It means one more guess.
5 stomachs, isn't it?
It's 5 stomachs. That means there's one more guess. You got one, and you got one. So one more guess. Come on.
I'm an artichoke.
No. The deck of cards.
That's good. That's actually really good.
It is. I was going to go with the horrifying creation, but that is much less disturbing.
No, I'm not describing a monster. It's a riddle, Ambrose. It's always a riddle. Except for when it's not a riddle.
Except for when you got to hunt it down.
Yeah, it's a different kind of fun.
Any other questions?
Yes. Do I still have to wear the shirt? I know we're trying to promote it at the merch shop, and I know it's like the official thing, but it gets a little hot when I throw it on over my button down.
You don't like the shirt?
There's nothing wrong with the shirt. I just prefer my clothes.
Someone probably worked very hard on that shirt.
I'm sure they did.
Well,
do you want me to wear it? I'll wear it. It's fine.
No,
don't worry, Arthur.
I don't want you to wear it. I want you to want to wear it.
I see Valentine like gestured towards his shirt that he's wearing, like gives you a thumbs up. Like we have them in purple now.
I will take the purple one. Yeah.
Excellent. Things have been quiet, which is good. So, school visit this afternoon, and I believe that will occupy more or less the rest of our workday. He looks down at the note, the paper that's spread out in front of him, and says, did we ever hear anything conclusive about the goats that were being sacrificed in the town square?
No, no, but like also it kind of stopped, so that kind of leads me to believe that it was teenagers.
My assessment says no threat to society, but yes, it is weird that it stopped.
Well, that is good enough for the time being. Valentine, I want you to keep an eye in the workspace. I'm sorry, Valentine, I want you to keep an eye on the workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Understood.
Well, off we go.
I'm gonna go clean the hedge. I'll be right back.
And on that note, it's 9:30. I think we're going to take a break.
9:30 party time.
9:30 party time. So we're going to hop off for like 10 minutes or so. We will be right back. Hope you're enjoying winter break so far. Don't go anywhere. There will be more excitement and cool things to come back here very, very soon. See you soon.
Sure.
Oh, that's an even better question.
I was thinking character.
Yeah.
But I like the personally part.
Personally,
middle schoolers.
Yeah.
No, I'm not fucking with that.
One.
How many middle schoolers were we fighting? Did you have a number?
I'm gonna
What
say,
age school?
I mean, let's say like
That's
early
broad.
middle school, 6th grade, like 12.
That's
Okay,
that's how old
6th
my
grade,
half brother
12.
is. I could snap easily. I could just snap them in half.
I'd break their bones, dude.
Jesus.
Channel
yeah.
Max on a non-Max night.
Breaking 6th graders' arms is actually my specialty.
Okay, well,
Cracking body parts like glow sticks, like
No, I did that when I was my first school that I went to was kindergarten through 8th grade, and I broke a middle schooler's arm against the corner of a shed.
Oh no.
Jesus, I'm not surprised, but Jesus.
for legal
Excellent.
reasons, this is a joke.
It's all a joke.
This is all
It's
a
all
joke.
role playing. We're just playing characters and having a good time.
Yep. Just playing a pretendy fun time Dungeons and Dragons.
Ha.
This is the modern urban setting
Yes, exactly.
where you
Right,
can
yeah.
fight middle schoolers.
Where you,
who are-
because you can't do that in D&D normally. You
It's
gotta
true.
have some
Well,
grim
middle school
dark
doesn't exist there, so
Yeah.
gotcha.
True.
Yeah.
Are
They
they,
have
middle
apprenticeships.
schoolers? Wait, how old are these children?
Just
12.
accidentally threw this string of my tea bag into the tea.
Oh no.
It's fine.
Yeah. So
uh,
for these kids that are showing up that we have to fight, how old are they?
That's a great question. Let's find out as we get back into the action.
I still want the cheese. I'm sorry. You can't have it.
So, you all kind of go throughout the rest of your day in a fairly typical manner for the Avalon Historical Society. You each have your individual jobs and responsibilities to attend to, but as, say, 2 p.m. rolls around, a school bus pulls up outside of the Wick House, and you see children starting to get off the bus. Well, first you see an adult get off the bus, and then you see children getting off.
What age?
They look to be in elementary school.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, even better.
Okay, then at least 12 of them.
It's over. They're not going to know what hit them.
You've got the element of surprise too, so
Yeah.
They think they're on a school trip.
they have no idea what they're walking into.
Yeah.
So a fairly fraught looking teacher, you would guess maybe she's in her mid 20s, mid to early 20s. She has, long brown hair. She's wearing glasses and like a sweater, some jeans, white shoes. It's clear she's kind of dressed down, but she does have a badge on a lanyard around her neck. Clearly has a school ID on it, and she gets off the bus first and then starts directing all of the kids to get off the bus as well and line up. There are a couple of other adults that get off. You can tell that they are probably parents here to chaperone this field trip. They look a little bit overwhelmed and a little bit exhausted. These two adults, like they are not at all used to this. And after they line up, she starts to lead them up the path to the front door. Valentine, as this is your job, how are you? How do you normally do this? Do you wait for them to get inside? Do you meet them out front?
I think Valentine would kind of just watch and make the call when to approach, right? As they're if they're getting off the bus and it's just like a mob of chaos, he'll probably intervene a little earlier. If it's a little more orderly, he'll wait for them to get settled and then come kind of guide them in the direction of the society itself. So I think he takes a look, finds that moment of okay, everyone's kind of off the bus, accounted for, and just claps his hands very loudly once and just extends his arms. It's just good afternoon, welcome to Avalon Historical Society. I am Valentine. I will be your initial host, and I will introduce you to Ingrid. Are you out there with us?
I think so. I would let you kind of take center stage. This is your job.
Okay. So
Are you wearing the shirt?
I'm wearing a shirt.
We're both wearing the shirt. That's so good. It will be your primary host while you're here, and this is Ingrid.
Addie.
She will guide you around the area once I've given you the initial orientation. Any questions?
Miss, so the teacher will step up and she'll like offer you her hand. She introduces herself. She says, "Hi, Miss Carter. I spoke to Arthur on the phone."
Yes, nice to meet you, Miss Carter.
Good. Yeah. Great. Well, everybody here should be on their best behavior, and I'll be along for the whole time. Our chaperones will be here for the whole time. Everything should be fine. Is there anything you need from us or from me?
All I ask is that everyone stays together for accountability.
Okay, great.
If we don't have people wandering off, we have to stop the tour, go find everyone, and of course, we don't want to make your jobs harder and our jobs harder, so we'll keep that simple. So how many kids do you have?
There are 19 with me today.
19.
And
I can find 19 kids.
You're so confident.
Okay, so we'll make sure all 19 stay together. Otherwise, no problems. And he like kind of looks over at Ingrid, like, "You want to take it from here?"
All right, kids. How many of you think you could take on a bear?
Hands shoot up immediately.
You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. Everybody's dead. By the end of this trip, y'all know how to take down a bear. Don't you worry. I got you covered.
Suddenly, there are so many different expressions happening in front of you. The teacher looks very confused. The parents look slightly horrified. The kids look very excited.
Nice.
Excellent.
But yeah, all of that happens, and I think Ingrid, you're a little distracted at the moment. Valentine, why don't you go ahead and roll a perception check?
Alrighty.
I don't like that already.
Which kid is possessed?
Yeah.
Which kid's the bear?
Okay, I'm rolling a +0. That's cool. Here we go.
Oh, super.
5. Actually, I'm wrong. I calculated that wrong. That's a 4. It's a -1.
Oh, boy.
Great. Okay. You don't. Cool. Everything is good and fine, and you, everybody starts heading on into the house. Ingrid, you start leading them on a tour, starting, going through the first floor of the Wick House and talking about the different, historical parts of the town.
I only take them through the first floor and the grounds, right? I wouldn't take them upstairs.
So the second floor does have a few like rooms that are set up to look like, the way bedrooms would have looked at the time of
Got it.
at the time of no, you're good. Avalon's incorporation. So that's kind of just a situation where they're like roped off and you can kind of like show them, they can look inside, but they can't go into the room, that kind.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would take them on the tour.
Okay, cool.
I would start upstairs.
All right.
I think
you start.
As this tour is going, I'm kind of gonna like follow in the back as kind of Ingrid's leading, and just kind of following up, make sure we don't lose anybody along the way.
Cool.
Just answering various questions that the parents have or what have you.
Yeah, you're like walking them next to like the teacher and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Okay, so you start leading the tour and telling them, all of the different historical facts about the objects and the cases and the documents and things like that. Talking about all of that, you pass the original town sign for Avalon.
That is the original town sign. Take note, kids.
They do. One of them, as you pointed out, one of them says, when are we going to learn to fight a bear? And
well, listen, we got to get through all this inside stuff first, and then when I take you outside of the grounds, that's when you'll know.
One of them, a different kid, points and says, "What does that say?" And they're pointing to, where the wooden sign, painted on it. It says Avalon, and then it has a population listed underneath it, much, much, much lower than the current population. And underneath that, where the kid is pointing to, is the town motto painted on, where it says Omnis Vae.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that was the old town motto. Actually put there by, presented there by the original house owner. And it means all the ways.
That's boring.
Well, not until about when I show you all the ways, Omnis VA, to take down a bear. Think about that.
Then they cheer.
Nice.
As you start leading them out of the room, Valentine, you are following, bringing up the tail end, basically. There's like you at the end, the teacher at the front. There's a parent about, halfway down. And you hear from out of nowhere a scream from outside, from out front.
I immediately whip around and try to see if I can see out a window, or if not, just run straight for the door.
Yeah, you see, you whip around and you can see that there are some large windows at the front of the house. You look out and you see that you see on the front lawn, the steps leading up back by the bus, the second parent, and it's clear to you that they are the one who has screamed, as they are like kneeling on the ground and cradling this child in their arms.
What the fuck?
They are not. You can tell at a glance that the child is not dead, but they are convulsing. Okay. And as the parent, screams again and calls out and says, "Help! Somebody help!"
Valentine will definitely make sure Ingrid is tracking this by just yelling, like, I assume you can hear this, right? If that's not the case, or is it because?
Yes. Well, so I actually think that probably for Ingrid, this noise is somewhat drowned out by the general noise of the kids.
Okay.
The scream happens right when they cheer about the bear.
Yeah.
Too easy.
Would I have heard it from the second floor?
I will let you. I'll let you roll for it. I'll let you roll perception.
Okay.
And I'm just going to assume, given where Ambrose works, that they are definitely not hearing anything.
Probably not.
They also probably have the AirPods in.
Oh.
Safe to assume.
Well, that might bode well or bode poorly for us. That's a natural 20, so 22.
Dope.
Okay.
Yeah,
you absolutely hear it. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to say that you were actually watching this, Hazel. You heard a little bit of a commotion from out front, and you stepped away from the desk where you were working on the financial records for the Historical Society, looked out the window, and you saw down below on the path, one of the kids apparently strayed to the back of the line and was trying to get back to the bus. But there is a parent, you don't know if it's their parent or not, standing with them, kind of holding onto their arm and being like, you have to go. We're not going back to the bus. I already told you. And the kid is kind of, screaming, not super loud and obviously not in pain or anything, but just no, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to. I want to go home. And is just fighting to get back at the bus. And the parent, after a few seconds of this, like you've honestly seen this a million times. You've been around kids enough to know that like this happens. And the parent eventually like huffs and just lifts the kid up off the ground and starts carrying them into the house. And as they pass the two large topiaries that frame the path leading up to the house, the kid starts convulsing, and the parent, panicking, drops to their knees and is like holding the kid, and you can hear and see them calling for help, looking around very panicked.
Hazel looks at the topiaries, and she looks at the child, and she just kind of says, "You're not supposed to be here," before she's gonna go down the stairs to try to deal with it outside.
Okay. And Valentine, you obviously are going to get out the door first, but...
Yeah, as Valentine's running out the door, he's going to yell, "Else, we have emergency. Tell everyone. Tell the staff."
Okay. So I think the first thing we see, obviously, is Ambrose working in the conservation booth, and just like over their shoulder, the frog clock on the wall is yelling again, and they're just not looking at it or noticing it at all. But Hazel, as you start going down the stairs, I think you're probably moving fast enough that it's like one clock animates, and like then the next clock animates as you move past them, and so you're getting like one word from each clock as they go, and it says like, "There is an emergency outside."
Hazel kind of waves it off, and she's like, I see it. The runes got it."
And you hear the door of Arthur's office opening, and he starts to walk out. You hear his distinctive like cane thump and then step, cane thump and then step, as he's moving as quickly as he can towards the stairs to go down them. And I think Ingrid, you are like gesturing to, you're standing in front of all the kids and like gesturing in something at the wall. You're fortunately standing basically right in front of a different clock that's on the wall of this room, and so you hear this like very quiet voice say behind, basically whispering to you, and says, "There's an emergency outside."
Right. Hey kids, how would you like a free item from our gift shop? I'm talking free. Take it all. Go on out. Parents, you too. You deserve it. We're having a break. We got keychains. We got this sick you know what? And then she takes it off and she's like, "Free shirt." And she throws it. And she's like, "I will come back. Stay there. Bathrooms on the left." And then starts everyone... like, I will like kind of usher everyone, kind of guide them over to the gift shop.
Sure.
And scurry.
Yeah. The gift shop is definitely towards the front of the house. It's like when you first walk in, so it's not the like farthest away from what's going on outside, but you can like draw the curtains and like hope for the best as you do this, and then you can like hustle outside. But Valentine, you get out there first. What are you doing?
So I'm not a medical person at all. So I think the first thing I'm going to be doing is looking for signs of danger, right? Because I know that my teammates will be coming out shortly, hopefully, and they can handle this stuff. I think I'm going to literally go out, take a quick glance at the kid, and then start looking around to see like what could have potentially caused this.
Okay. You step outside and you immediately start like looking around. I mean, you move, to help the parent. Presumably they see you and they immediately like try to wave you over, and they're very clearly panicked and like they don't know what to do, and they say, call 911, please. Just I don't know what to do. And
it's okay. There's someone on the way. What happened?
Great.
And as I'm like just watching, looking around while this is going on,
they start. The parent starts explaining it to you. She is, telling you that the kid just was like didn't want to go inside and was pulling away and trying to go back to the bus. And then she picked the kid up and tried to carry them, and then they started just convulsing, and they're clearly very, they're out of their mind, worried, and you're hearing this, and you're kind of like half processing it as you're looking around. I think I make an investigation check as you are looking around and trying to see
that I can do.
See anything.
Yeah. Oh, buddy. That is a 23.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. At first, you think you might be imagining things, but as you are looking around, you don't see anything of note really, except these out of the kid's right ear. You see these like two spindly, almost transparent little legs emerge.
Hit that.
Ugh.
And they kind of like find purchase on, either side of the ear canal and starts pulling at the thing that is inside this kid's head as more of it emerges, and you see more of those almost invisible legs. It's this like semi-transparent body emerges. You see one set of legs, and then two, and then three, then four. And the body of the spider fully emerges and like drops to the ground. And if the parent sees any of this, they are not reacting to it at all. But as soon as it does, it starts scuttling, almost hobbling as if it's injured, away from Wick House. And the kid goes still. The parent immediately, yells, screams, and like reaches for the neck to try to like find a pulse, and then seems to relax and says, "Oh my God, he's breathing. He's breathing."
I think Valentine's just transfixed on the spider, and it just says, "Just keep talking. It's good for people to hear comforting words." And is prepping to cast Fairy Fire on this. Like you said, weirdly translucent, right?
Yes. Yeah. Almost invisible.
It's like reaching into his tool belt, kind of slowly, and like judging the distance, and like pulling like a weird looking small tube.
Okay.
And getting prepped to do that, but figure if you let me throw it, I'll throw it. But otherwise,
yeah, no, I mean, I think you can absolutely throw it if you want to.
Okay.
And Hazel, I think at that point you get out the door. So you kind of just see Ambrose standing there, and he's kind of like standing facing the parent who's holding the kid, who is no longer convulsing. You kind of see him like you see Valentine like angling his body to be between the parent and something else, and he kind of like almost drops something in his hand that like shatters, and you see this little form become limed with light. There's no like save for fairy fire or anything, is there?
There's a dex saving throw.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But it basically, he just like twists this little tube that starts beeping and just hurls it.
Okay.
And it just explodes. It's right. DC 14.
Okay. It fails. So yeah, you nice. Kind of like this vial like goes off, and there's like maybe a puff of small fiery powder, and it you see this little form become limed in like colorful small flames.
Dope.
So Hazel sees that, and she kind of, to help keep the attention of the parent, she will kneel down next to on the other side of the child so that they're facing them, like away from looking at the bus and the creature. And she's gonna say, you know, what happened. She knows. She's just saying the prerequisite words.
Yeah.
She's got her cell phone in hand. But while she's doing that, can I make like either a medicine or an arcana check to see if there's anything else about the child? Like I asked the parent, is this your child? Is this just
right?
Like how well do you know this child?
Yeah.
Do you know this child's lineage?
So I would say that for this, you probably make a medicine check. And then, oh, God damn it, Nathan. Listen, one day we're going to have alert command. The problem is that Justin took the best one already. Honestly, that's what it is. Justin already has a good one. And every time I try to sit down and think about it, I am like, well, I'm not going to top that. So
it's a 16 on the medicine check.
Good. Cool. All right.
Nice.
You are examining this child in the hands. The parent is answering your questions as you are examining the kid and basically saying, no, not my kid. I just, like couldn't let him go back to the bus by himself. I hope he's okay. I didn't mean to do anything. I barely, touched him. And you like pull out, you like pull back the kid's eyelids to see if, they're responding to light or dilating or anything like that. And as you do that, the kid actually starts to stir, like they're waking up. And they are like very groggy, clearly, and very out of it, but like they seem like they're okay. They're mostly just like freaked out and asking what happened and looking around.
You passed out. You got really stressed. You got really scared. You don't want to come in. Does the house scare you?
I guess
it's
not.
Old. Yeah. Look at it. Come here. And she's gonna take both their hands and stand him up and like bring him onto the porch and kind of see what what happens.
Yeah. The parent looks like visibly relieved and is like telling, like sits down and tells the kid like, okay, sit down, don't move. Like somebody's going to be here soon and they're going to check you out. Okay. They're going to make sure that you're okay. And looks up at you and says, did somebody call an ambulance?
Arthur called. I'll go check. Here. How about you guys come in where it's out of the sun? Come sit on one of the benches. I'll go ask Arthur if they said when they're gonna get here. Arthur was calling as I was coming down the stairs. I'll go deal with it. Come sit on here. And then say, Valentine, do you have that?
I have it under control for now. I'd prefer a little more help when you are finished.
I will be right back.
Okay.
And you step inside, and Arthur, who is like halfway down the stairs at this point and has clearly heard you, like sighs and then turns and starts climbing back up the stairs to call the authorities.
Hazel will be like softly to House as she's like setting them down. She'll be like, "This is why he needs a cell phone."
I heard that. And Valentine. Well, Ingrid, what are you doing? Because you are kind of also, but like I imagine you were on your way out of the house, and that's when Hazel and the other parent brought.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I would kind of stop the kid and the parent and look over at Hazel, and I am going to cast message, and through like this shadowy form is going to kind of come up behind her, and it's going to ask if everything's all right.
Good description.
And Hazel will kind of just like, and then she'll do like the so-so, and then she'll go, someone tried to get in who's not supposed to get in.
And then Ingrid is going to just kind of like take the kid and say, kind of get on down to their level and say, you ever had your own keychain? Do you like purple? I think you like purple. I can see it in you. Come on, let's get you a little something. And I think we have adult size shirts as well, ma'am. So you can come on, follow me. We'll join the rest of the group over here.
Okay, I'm just gonna go back out and
Can I? So message has 120 feet. Can I just kind of like let that shadow kind of linger? Try to like blend in with Hazel's shadow and slip into Valentine's shadow if need be, to kind of just like keep communication open.
Sure.
Amazing.
Yes. Cool. So your shadow kind of detaches from you and hitches a ride with Hazel's, and then is like kind of halfway between Valentine's and Hazel's outside on the pavement.
I think when it detaches too, I just like there's like a little shiver. Like, ooh, a little brisk in here.
Feels weird. Valentine, what are you doing? Hazel's coming to help.
So you said this thing's moving away from me?
It's trying to. It looks like it's injured or something. Like it is moving like kind of sideways and slowly.
Okay. I'm gonna do some doorman shit, and I'm gonna approach, right? And I think under my I have a hand ready to grab my weapons if need be, but I start walking towards this thing, clearly able to see it, and go, look, I can see you. You are really hurt. If you mean us no harm, I will talk to you. If you intend to hurt us, make it very clear that we will hurt you worse. What is your name, friend? And just see what that does.
So, excuse me. So it doesn't respond to you with words, but it does stop moving away from you, and it turns to face you, and it kind of rises up onto like its back sets of legs as much as it can, and it points with its front legs at you and at your head.
Don't like that.
Where's that Eric Andre meme?
May I throw insight?
Yeah, you can roll insight.
Because I know what I think, but man, oh man, that's not great. That's a 13. It's all right.
Okay. Excuse me. Using context clues, you would guess that this thing is trying to communicate. It's clearly at least somewhat sentient, and what it's trying to communicate is that it can't communicate with you without being in your head.
Ah, yes. Kind of nod and say, well, we won't do that, but I have some friends coming and they may be able to help. And just like kind of just sit there with it and see, like, as long as it's not doing anything crazy, like, I'm not gonna freak out.
Yeah, it is not going to do anything crazy. Are you like reaching out to it or anything? Are you
No, I'm giving it some good space.
Okay. All right.
Like I'm imagining I'm giving it like 10, 15 feet, so it's like, hey, we're close enough to talk, but like I also have a bunch of weapons on me that I need to be able to pull out if this thing goes crazy.
Right. Are you leaving it like limed in fairy fire?
For the moment, yes.
Okay. All right.
So Hazel, it just lights up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Hazel, you come out and you kind of see Valentine sitting on the sidewalk with this little fiery spider shape across from him.
I think it wants to communicate, but I am not able to. It does not seem to want to hurt me right now. That's what I've got.
Well, if it didn't mean harm, it could have gotten in. So, magical. She points at the topiary. She's like, prevents magical creatures with ill intent. So he's up to something shady. And then Hazel kind of crouch down, and I don't know if this will work, but I will use speak with animals to see if. I don't know, because it's an insect. But I don't know if speak with insect is a spell so.
I don't.
Yeah.
And also, that is true. That is true. I was researching spiders today.
Yeah.
I was down there looking at the mating habits of magical spiders.
That's true. That is true. So, okay. I'll give you advantage, and your speak with animals comes from your patron, right? Specifically?
Yes. It's one of my invocations. So it's an at-will thing.
Okay. Then I will say, I'm going to say that due to that nature and some similarities there, you can, I'll let it take effect. And you were researching magical spiders earlier. So what do you want to say to this thing?
I'm going to ask it what it's looking for inside the house.
Okay. So.
Oh, and how long it's been in the child. Those are the two things she would ask first.
Okay.
Good questions.
Cool. So it is going to respond, and it kind of like gets a little more animated as you speak to it in a way that it can communicate back to you. It kind of like hops from like one side of its legs to the other side of its legs a little bit, and it says in a very small, almost impossible to hear voice, accident, pointing at the topiaries.
So you didn't know that you were going to come here?
No.
So you've been in the child for how long?
You get kind of a quizzical response, like time is maybe not its best concept that it can grasp, and it says many sleeps.
Oh, many sleeps.
Were you always with the child, or or were you with someone else before?
New?
Did you come out of the egg sac that the Joes ripped apart?
He mostly seems confused at that.
Okay. What do you eat? Were you eating the child? Oh, you're one of those.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well, you can't come in here. House won't allow it.
It like points one leg at you, at your head, and another, and then like sort of bends it to point back at itself and says, "Together?"
How does the deal work?
Dreams? You understand more?
You are both chittering back and forth a lot. Is everything okay?
Oh yeah, we're trying to we're negotiating apartment space.
Sorry, what?
It's looking to rent.
There's no room in the house for rent. Oh, I don't think that is a good idea.
Can I insight check this spider?
Yeah. I will give you advantage also because you were researching earlier.
Okay. Well, that's a 6. Don't want that.
Don't want that.
Don't want that. 14?
Okay. This spider, the impression that you've gotten of it so far is that it is very much like a child itself. You're not sure that it could lie to you. Like you're not sure that it is intelligent enough to be guileful. Like it seems like it's being pretty straight up with you. It wants to go into your head so it can eat your dreams. It's being pretty honest about that.
Just give him the dreams, man.
I honestly wish people were this up front. That'd be great.
Right. If I tell you to leave, will you go? After. If I change my mind.
Together.
But what if we can't stay together? Will you go?
It seems genuinely confused and says, don't know. Never left before.
I think Valentine will jump in again and say, if you are considering this, I don't agree, but it's not my choice either. Is there a way you can let me know if you are possibly in danger to help you in the future?
At the moment that you ask that question, you hear sirens approaching quickly, and you also hear Arthur from the front porch as he is starting to make his way down the front steps and down the path towards you call out and say, no one is considering anything of the sort. And he has a jar under one arm.
Will it let it in the house if it's that way? It said it couldn't come in if it...
Well, then we don't bring it into the house, but we also don't let it... First of all, we don't let it wander around freely. And second of all, we certainly don't let it enter anyone's brain.
I wasn't gonna let it wander around. I was gonna take it to see if it wanted to live with one of the Joes, but fine. Give me the jar.
I was going to keep an eye on it.
I
You
think it
will
would be. I think it would be
pass your
fine
jar.
with the cats. Cat's dream.
That's dream big.
He will. Arthur will pass you the jar.
I'll say, in you go. We're negotiating.
It's very okay. It's very hesitant, but it will slowly, like one step, and then another step, and then slowly, like sort of inch its way into the jar.
Scoop him. Close his lid. And then I look at it and I'm like, Arthur, you didn't put any holes in it.
Not sure it needs to breathe. It's a bloody brain spider.
It's actually pretty clean. It doesn't seem very bloody. It doesn't look like it did any damage coming out of the ear canal.
Hmm.
I mean, look at it.
Hilarious.
I'm not joking.
Perhaps we should move inside, stash that thing somewhere safe, and let's go in before the authorities get here and see us out here staring it up. Can you do something about this? And he gestures to the fact that it's on fire, Valentine.
Dismiss concentration.
Cool. All right.
I will go put it in the workshop.
Well, no, you can't bring it into the grounds, like you said. We'll need to go somewhere else.
Oh, I know.
So,
no, I know where I'll put it. There's like the statue down there. There's a geocache that like nobody uses. Nobody's touched it in like 3 years. I'll just go put it in there.
It's not even on the app anymore, honestly.
what is geocache?
It's like it's like scavenger hunts for like really lonely people.
Oh, I love the first part of that.
There's actively now an ambulance and a fire engine pulling onto the driveway that leads up to Wick House, and Arthur is very distracted and says that yes, whatever, that's fine.
We should go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go run the spider down.
Cool. Okay. And Arthur and Valentine, you make your way back into Wick House, where there's a very confused looking class standing there, and then a very concerned looking teacher who immediately comes up and starts asking Arthur questions, and he's doing his best to put her at ease and says, no, yes, that they are here now. They'll examine the child, but he seems fine. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but my staff were right on it, and he does seem to be doing much, much better. So let's just get everybody outside, and after all of that is dealt with, well, perhaps it would be best to reschedule the visit. The teacher just kind of nods and automatically starts, telling everybody to line up and stand in their order and hold hands with their buddy, and starts leading them out onto the sidewalk where the one child also falls into line and seems pretty much completely back to normal at this point. But yeah, the paramedics step up to the teacher and are asking her questions, and she points out the kid, and you can watch all this happening from the porch. And Arthur looks around and says, where is Ambrose?
Hazel will come back.
I asked House to get him. Sorry.
From
I
where
asked
she
House
was.
to get them.
Yeah. And she'll say, she'll get back and she'll say, I didn't actually make it all the way to the geocache. I remembered I had my car keys. It's just in my glove box.
Probably a safer place anyway. And the hound clock speaks up and says, I did my best. They were not listening. Again.
House, you know what you can do? So they've got like that book press that they don't use anymore because it's really old and heavy and they hate picking it up. Shake it until it falls off that one table. That'll get them. That'll get them real quick.
Well, it was your idea, not mine. And a second later, you hear a crash from the basement.
Which means that Ambrose takes out their AirPods.
Cursing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, House fills you in on the events that you missed, and you can make your way upstairs if you are so inclined.
House, we need to talk about this. We need a better system because this is not working.
Well, I would be willing to talk about it if you didn't always have those things in your ears.
Well, maybe you should learn how to hack into them, and then you could give me messages.
I don't know what that means.
I'll give you a book on it. It could be useful.
Nar.
Nar. House is snarky.
House is trendy.
Yeah.
House is actually on TikTok.
It's true.
House has a lot of followers on TikTok. Yeah, okay. So, Ambrose, you can rejoin the rest of the group. You're sort of standing in a somewhat in the aftermath of all of the chaos. The house feels very quiet as you stand there in the living room.
Ambrose, you missed all the fun.
Apparently so. Me and House are working on it. We're developing a system. It will one day work.
Well, I'm glad you made it.
So, can somebody explain what happened? I was trying to never mind.
Oh yeah, there's a spider in my car glove box in a jar.
What's that?
It magic type.
Like the kind you were researching.
Similar, yeah. This one, it crawled out of the little boy's head. It gave him a seizure because it was inside of his head. And when he tried to come on the grounds said, absolutely the fresh fuck not. So, yeah, now it's in my car. It wants to live inside someone's head and eat dreams. I'm thinking the best person for the job is one of the cats.
You said, I saw Arthur come out with a jar. It's in a jar?
Yeah, there's no
Does
holes
it have
in
air
it.
holes?
No.
Oh my God.
He doesn't think they need them.
There were more pressing issues. I'm quite confident it will be fine.
It's just a baby.
He's just a little guy.
It is. It is actually just a baby.
It also is very hard to see without magic.
Tremendous, honestly, an alarming amount of sympathy for the brain spider.
It's only because it's a baby. I have a thing for the young. They don't know any better.
Am I the only one disturbed by this?
We have no idea what stage of its life cycle it is in, so...
You talk to it. It's a baby.
I will not.
I have a considerable amount of firepower I can bring to bear, but I do not want to miscalculate and do it preemptively.
Well,
therefore, ask questions first before shooting, I believe, is the...
So
or
it's...
shoot them first and ask questions later. How does the phrase go?
Shoot first, ask questions later.
All right, I try to do the opposite if possible.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it said it didn't mean to come here. It didn't know when little boy got up today that it was going to come here. It's just been hanging out.
Question, how did it get into the child?
It doesn't know.
Don't like that. Okay.
Also, I don't know whether intentional or not, something brought it here. Whether it chose a child intentionally or not, it happened to go into a child that just happened to be in here and happened to come across this house. If it's not, if it doesn't know why it's here, then maybe something sent it.
Well, that's the trick, you see, because the only way we're going to know is if someone lets it go and it's in their head. Because it doesn't seem to be able to communicate very well verbally. So who's volunteering for spider duty?
No.
No. My head's busy enough as it is.
We have to know if there's more of them.
I am, of course, willing to help to whatever extent is needed, but no, I cannot participate in that way.
Would it help if I turned into a spider?
I don't think so, because I was already talking to it, and its verbal communication skills are very poor. Arthur, rock, paper, scissors for who gets the spider?
No one is getting the spider. And I can't believe I'm having to spell that out. No one is putting a spider in their head.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
There are literally so many options. We could start by researching it specifically and seeing if we can figure out exactly what type of spider it is. That is a very good place to start.
It's a good place to start to find out what it is. But again, if there's more of them, or if it was sent here, only it's gonna know that.
Correct. And if it is hostile or dangerous, the research will turn that up, and then we will know for sure. We should probably eliminate it. Does that seem like a good course of action to everybody else?
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we will not be
no brain spiders.
No brain spiders.
Adopting it?
You too? Ingrid? Hazel? We will not be
speaking to it.
Letting it out of the jar.
Letting it roam.
But you
free
should
as all creatures.
Air holes in the jar.
We should put air holes in the jar. That's absolutely true.
If we don't put air holes in the jar,
notwithstanding.
If we don't put air holes in the jar, we're committing war crimes.
I wholeheartedly disagree. Valentine, have you checked the workshop?
Head there now.
Let me go check, see what's, if anything from, outside is looking strange.
Okay.
All right.
I'm going to poke the air holes in, and then I'm going to go take a tally on how much money we lost today, and then I'm going to to finish the reports.
That's, Valentine's walking out and just see all the missing merch and be like, what happened?
As I'm walking away, I'm like, oh, I was trying to help the kids, so I thought you wouldn't mind. I mean, it's just material goods, right? So
I'm picturing
don't need them.
I'm picturing just an empty gift shop with one solitary t-shirt left hanging on the rack. The shelf that I just fixed is now broken and slanted again. I was like, oh no.
Do you want that counted on this report, or do you want me to wait until next week's?
I think if we wait, maybe we'll have some time to fix this. I'm going to go check the workshop.
Valentine, you walk over to the nearest door, which would, normally just lead into the first floor bathroom. And you reach up and you wrap a very specific series of knocks against it. And when you open it, beyond, there's not a bathroom. There is something else entirely that looks like a garage, mostly. It has a concrete floor and high ceilings, almost like a warehouse. sort of crossed metal bars with like sheet metal holding it up, but there are many different things inside of this room. There is a forge in one corner that is sort of burning low.
Cool.
Various manufacturing tools to use that forge, and lots of other equipment in a similar vein. There are also two SUVs parked in here, and what looks like a fully equipped automotive shop as well. There's a lift and a wall of tools specifically suited for working on cars. And also a wall, basically a whole corner of the room that is taken up by a wall of weapons of many different shapes and types, from swords to guns, and a few mannequin busts that have like tactical vests on them. Maybe one that has like a full suit of riot gear, but that's very bulky. Most notably, however, as you step in, to anyone who has ever been in the workshop before, most notably, the ceiling depicts a constantly shifting map-like view of the city itself. And crisscrossing through it are lines that you know correspond to the ley lines that run through the city, colored by intensity. Some of them are green, some of them are blue, and the most powerful of them are red. And similarly, you quickly locate the location of Wick House itself on the map, and you can see that there is a fog over the area, but it is blue.
Is
indicating that while there is magical activity, it's indicating that while there is magical activity present, or just recently present, it is less than intense. It is the lowest category, essentially, that the workshop is capable of determining.
Kind of stare up at the ceiling for like 20 seconds with my hands on my hips, just nod, satisfied at that, and just do a lap.
And as you do a lap, you do also happen to notice, as you look up at the ceiling as well, you see that there is Kincaid Park, which is more like a small preserve than it is a public park within Avalon itself. It has paths, like jogging paths. It's very popular for that, and like people will go there to picnic and stuff. But it is, like fairly full stretches of woods, as opposed to grass and like soccer fields and stuff like that. And you notice that as you are looking, your eyes are kind of drawn there out of the corner of your eyes, because you can see a fog is rapidly forming over Kincaid Park, which is red.
Reach over, grab a very large gun off the wall, sling it over my shoulder. Okay. Interesting day. I start moving out to tell everyone else.
Okay. I think standard operating procedure is probably like you can alert you can alert House, and House will put everybody on high alert.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's the move.
Cool.
House, red alert.
Nice.
So then, I think what we see next is all of the clocks basically coming to life at once, and all kind of saying red alert, red alert, red alert. We have a red alert, and everybody going to different doors and wrapping out that same sort of a very, very specific knock. Arthur just kind of goes to the inside of his office door and does it, and then steps through into the workshop. Ambrose, you have, one of the doors in the basement. Ingrid, you were checking the ground, so maybe like the back door, you just kind of wrap out the code and step through it. And Hazel, you can also find one, maybe the office door, and just sort of everybody can gather in the workshop, and you're all kind of standing there a few seconds later and looking up at the ceiling where the red fog has intensified.
Kincaid Park
stars.
just started forming rapidly a few moments ago.
That is less than ideal.
This has been an interesting day so far.
It certainly has.
Very eventful. Not in a way that I care for.
Arthur, I have a question.
Yes.
Who besides us knows that Martin left?
Well, I wouldn't think anyone. I mean, Master Wick was very private. As far as I'm aware, he kept no consorts or associates outside of the society. At least not in Avalon.
Okay. So hopefully this is just poor timing and not someone testing their boundaries.
Is coincidence?
Hopefully. Are you all prepared to investigate?
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yes.
Well, there are no, unfortunately, there are no henges near Kincaid Park, so I'm afraid you'll have to take the vehicle.
Quick question, out of character, who has driving proficiency? Is it just hell yeah?
My driver license expired, so
Good point. Good point.
Ambrose uses public transportation.
I think Valentine looks at Hazel and goes, "Paper, rock, stone."
Ready?
Okay.
Okay.
2, 3.
This is great.
Okay.
Right.
Nailed it.
There we go. We did it. You're driving.
Valentine grabs the keys. He grabs a couple more guns and other like bandoliers of like weird looking tubes, ammo, etc. And he also grabs a old like rectangle frame backpack with just, it almost looks like a much less overt proton pack from the Ghostbusters.
Nice.
But it's just got like kind of like a metallic clunky feel to it, and like, but you can see like wires and gears are a part of it, but has like no actual openings on it. Kind of just slings that over his shoulder and then like throws in the trunk of the car. Says, "Okay, whenever you are ready."
Yes.
I have to go get my bullet journal and some other things.
No rush.
Out of character question. The book, the big old book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have to take that?
Do I have to bring that with me every time we go on an investigation?
You don't have to, but like you basically, it's, it's a judgment call. Like you can take it, you cannot take it, but ultimately it is up to you. It's definitely a much more difficult judgment call if you don't know exactly what you're walking into. There are definitely circumstances where you have a better sense of whether, you're dealing with an entity or an occurrence or an object or something like that. In this case, you just don't really have any information to go off of.
All I know is that it's red and it's getting bigger.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. you can take the book with you, the ledger, and it will certainly come in handy, if its primary purpose is called, but it could also, potentially put it at risk. There's a lot of factors to consider.
I think I'll leave it for now.
Okay.
Just
and Arthur, yeah.
And should I tell Arthur that I'm going to?
Okay, cool. And Arthur will say yes. Prepare for everything, I suppose. You want to
I'm
for
gonna
bear.
step outside for a moment. Just give me just a minute.
Okay. I imagine you're all kind of splitting up to gather your respective, gear and get it all together before you meet back here and hop in the SUV to head out. Ingrid, what are you doing?
Yeah. I go outside, and in my time here, I'm gonna say, if it wasn't already here, then I have started a small garden outside, mostly like local wild kind of grown things, but very much intentionally a wild berry bush, like plucked straight from a nearby like park or something. And that is where I'm going to cast Goodberry and just grab 10 and take them with me.
And I think one thing that is notable about that is the fact that it is winter in Avalon, and your garden is one of the only things that is somehow still flourishing.
I kind of dust off like some frost or snow or something, and I pluck like individually the ripest looking berries and just kind of hold them and cast a Goodberry. I think I'm just gonna like blow on them and then take them inside. And as we kind of are hopping into the van or whatever car, I will give two to each person. Actually, I'll do 3 to each person, and I'll just take 1.
Oh,
all right.
Oh, thank you.
Nice. Yeah.
Ambrose,
not
are
snacks.
you doing or grabbing anything specifically? Sorry, Ambrose, are you doing or grabbing anything specifically?
Nothing too exciting. They're just grabbing their armor, which looks like a leather duster that has the color of an oil slick that somehow matches whatever outfit they're wearing, and a handful of knives.
Nice.
Cool. All right.
Stop and look at the break in case of emergency of super stomping boots and decide next time.
Next time.
But I do crank up I'll crank on the ignition, and I look at Hazel and I go, I drive, but you pick music.
absolutely spectacular. We're going to be listening to The Flight of the Bumblebee.
Again?
My favorite.
It's good hype up music for when we gotta go fight something. You just get amped.
Yeah, you gotta admit, it's pretty good.
Whatever.
Learn to drive, Ambrose. Maybe you'll get to pick.
I'll consider it.
On a quiet Avalon street in the early afternoon, suddenly disrupted by a unmarked black SUV careening around a corner, blaring Flight of the Bumblebees out the window, just like hits a dip in the road and just like leaps like over it, comes like landing down. Another car like swerves to avoid it as they were trying to go through an intersection, and you are hauling ass to Kincaid Park, where we will smash cut to you pulling up as the Flight of the Bumblebees ends for at least the 4th or 5th time.
It's just
There are not a ton of people at the park here, as it is winter, and it is not particularly hospitable or particularly scenic at the moment. You pile out in the parking lot, and there are a few cars scattered around, but you don't really see anybody at first, and it seems odd to you because it is quiet. It all seems very normal.
Okay.
Can I do can I do a survival check or a nature check or something?
Nope.
I'm not looking specifically, since it looks normal. I want to start looking for like any I guess like tracks or something in the sky, like any sort of like indication of magical wildlife,
Okay.
I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say maybe nature at that point.
Nature. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you do?
That's a nat one, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my nature to that. That's gonna be a 6.
All right.
I'm distracted.
Right. What I will say, yeah, you don't see anything that strikes you as immediately suspicious or odd about the park as it stands right now, but then you do hear a bestial roar split the otherwise silent of the park, punctuated by a woman screaming.
Turn down Flight of the Bumblebees. That sounds bad.
It is definitely coming from inside the woods.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go. I jump out of the car, grab that large backpack, and
in the car.
Like I
Yeah,
say,
start scurrying.
Hazel at this point is going to just reach up to her forehead and kind of like scratch in between her eyes and cast mage armor.
Nice.
Okay. You do that, and you feel it kind of spread over your body to protect you. And you start running down the path, jogging down the path towards the sound you are fairly certain you heard this noise come from. And you round. What's up?
As we approach, can I, like, as we get closer, I guess, can we do like an insight check on the scream?
Sure. What for?
Just because I'm like I don't know how much like Ingrid totally knows, but just hearing all the like little stories even that Hazel has talked about, like cryptids and stuff, like screams aren't necessarily like a human in trouble and can sometimes be something like a little trickery to get you to stumble instead of actually like think clearly. So I guess that's kind of what I want to do, or maybe just use passive insight or something. I don't know.
What is your passive?
Yeah, I just mostly don't want it. So my passive insight is very good. It's 21. So.
Oh heck.
Okay. It sounded genuine. It sounded genuine to you. It sounded like real terror.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I'm more full speed ahead.
Sure. Yeah. And you start picking up the pace a little bit. I imagine sort of leading. I imagine, if I had to guess, Ingrid, you're probably sort of leading the pack. You're probably a little bit ahead of everybody, just being used to, well, cardio and running through the woods, essentially.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm sniffing it out.
Yeah. So you kind of like turn a bend in the path and come to a halt, and the others are pretty hot on your heels and kind of round that corner same time, almost run into you, I imagine, because you've stopped, because there is there's somebody standing in the path a little ways ahead of you, and they are slender, about close to 6 feet, if you had to guess. Their shape appears to be femme presenting, and they are wearing this white, looks like some kind of dress, maybe. It's ripped in several places. Their skin is chalk white with a bluish tinge to it. And they have a very, very long mane of white hair that is stringy and sparse in some places, that hangs down, largely obscuring their face. Standing in the path, blocking your way. What do you do?
Hey, Ingrid's in front, so.
I think would we have like interacted with a creature like this before?
If you want to roll, say Arcana, we'll see.
Okay. That's not.
I will tell you right now, you have never interacted with a creature like this one, but I will let you roll to see if you can like make some judgment calls.
We haven't interacted with this one, but potentially something similar, I guess.
Potentially. Nothing. You've not interacted. You don't know what this is, but you're rolling to see if you can like make some context clues or something.
Okay. 19 on the die plus Arcana, which is going to be a 24.
Hey.
Okay.
Nice.
Wow. That is a very, very good roll.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, that is
it's to make up for my
incredible.
now on.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say that you, while you maybe aren't sure exactly who this is, you can recognize something fey when you see it. And clearly winter associated, as it kind of looks like somebody who may have died from hypothermia.
Okay. I kind of I'm just going to like glance over at Hazel and just yell out at the creature. What do you want? Who are you?
I think the question is, who are you?
Don't answer.
It matters not. These matters don't concern you and will be concluded soon.
It's in our town. It all concerns us.
Yeah. There was a human scream, you said, right? Do we see a body or do we see someone?
You don't. But I will say that you hear another scream that sounds like it is beyond the woman, or beyond the thing standing in your path.
Like further back?
Yeah, further into the woods.
What the fuck?
Are
there more of you?
Past.
Yeah.
You can see this thing's breath sort of steaming up in the air through the hair that's kind of covering its face, and it kind of tilts its head to get like it's like a better look at the four of you. Its hair kind of drifts to one side, and you can see that its eye that you can see is like looks deeply bruised. Again, sort of in keeping with this like hypothermia thing.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just cast. I'm gonna cast Entangle on it.
Nope.
Nice.
All right.
I feel like as you
Let's see
do
if I
that,
can
like
just try to grab
Ambrose
that.
leans over and is just like, it looks like we should put it out of its misery.
Yeah, I just I kind of nod and I say sounds like there's someone in trouble still. And then I'll just cast Entangle then.
What kind of a save is that?
That is a strength saving throw.
Okay. And the DC?
Hold please. The DC is 14.
All right. Well, it got a 13.
Oh,
so
Beautiful. Okay.
what does it look like?
So I am going to reach out and just like, actually, I'm going to stick my hands into the ground and just pull up. And I'm going to be pulling up the roots from the nearby trees and like brush and like bushes and all sorts of like plants. And they're just going to, even the ones that are kind of further away are going to almost like pop out of the ground and crawl over and like wrap themselves around the creature. So they're basically restrained, and they can use their action to make a strength check against my spell save DC.
Okay.
To try to get out, basically, I think every turn.
Okay. So it gets entangled, and it kind of like it looks around like it's not like it wasn't expecting that at all. And these everything coils around it and kind of like holds it in place, and you can see it struggling against them, but it like can't quite seem to get itself free. It's lifting one arm, and then the vines like snap it back down, and the same thing with the other one where it's kind of pinned in place, and it like is restrained, fully entangled, and it looks at all of you through that same sort of mop of hair. It kind of moves its head, tosses its head a little bit so that the hair falls back, and you can see its like full face and see like it's kind of just this mass of like burst blood vessels and like rotting teeth and
Yes.
very gross, dark circles around the eyes, and it grits those gross rotting teeth at all of you and says, "Right now, I have no quarrel with you. Proceed, and we will be enemies."
I think at that point I just kind of turn to the group and I say, I can hold her here for a minute.
I think I'm gonna run past her. I kind of nod at that and go. I hear like another scream in the distance and said, "Nice, I'm going."
Yeah, as Hazel runs past, she kind of like slows to the creature and says to it, "Enemies it is then," and then keeps going.
Ambrose, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I think Ambrose follows, and actually, unlike Hazel, I think when Ambrose slows down, they say, "We still don't have to be enemies, but we also have to do our job."
Okay. Kind of, the creature like kind of strains against the bonds again and like snaps her teeth at you, like she would bite you if she could. She just can't. And
Ambrose is just like, shame, and just keeps going.
And you run past, and what's up?
I'm going to stay behind. Well, it's a 20-foot like square. So I'm going to run to the edge as far as I can of that 20 feet. and then just kind of like keep my hands on the ground and just kind of watch from a distance. And I'll let me double check the thing real quick. Do a quick little just a quick research tactic here. No mind me.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I'll send the shadow as well.
All right. Cool.
And I'll just say, like, I can stay in contact. You guys let me know what's going on. And I'll just stay here and keep her locked in. Keep an eye out.
Very cool. You do that, and you can kind of keep an eye on things as much as you can. I'm going to say that from like the range of your 20 feet distance, you can see what's going on.
Okay.
More or less. And the rest of you run on ahead. Valentine, obviously you were going to, get there first, but what happens is you enter this this clearing that's just a little bit beyond where the frozen, dead-looking woman was waiting for you, and immediately beyond the tree line into the clearing, you see a large, lumbering form sort of stomp past, too fast for you to get any real sense of like detail about it, but it is big and muscular, and it is not wearing a lot of clothing. Proceeding forward into the clearing itself, or at least close enough that you can kind of actually see what's going on, you see that there is this woman lying in kind of the middle of it, and she is blonde, maybe pushing like her 40s, wearing a suit that is clearly looks very expensive, but it is ripped in several places now and like dirtied, and she looks somewhere between terrified and determined. But she is kind of lying there in the ground, and they're kind of like both circling like sharks, sort of like circling their prey. And there's like a moment of tension, moment of quiet tension before one of them fully wrenches this tree trunk out of the ground and snaps it in half and like hurls it at the woman. She barely at the last second manages to like throw herself to the side, and the makeshift spear pierces the like abdomen of the other giant monster. They are vaguely humanoid. They have greenish skin, stringy hair, these like flat noses, and yeah, this one gets like impaled through the chest and then stares like down at it for a second, then wrenches it out, and you can see the wound in the abdomen starts to close.
Aw.
And I think
all right.
that is where we're going to end it for this week.
Oh,
no.
boy.
Please,
Oh, dear. Oh,
So
dear.
many explosives.
So
So
many.
many.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I hope you had a good time and enjoyed yourself. This was the first winter break, first class reunion winter break, and we are going to be back in 2 weeks with more of it. In the meantime, we have a bunch of other stuff coming up. Tomorrow night is the finale, the final episode of this arc, Dead in the Water, and you should check that out. You should come back. I'm going to be playing in it. JD's going to be running it. It's going to be a really good time, and I'm going to be very upset and sad, and JD keeps making us take our headphones off so he can tell us secrets, and nobody likes it,
So
and we're
that's
all
smart.
concerned.
Everybody loves
I like it.
It's everyone's favorite
That's not true.
experience.
That's really
I
smart.
love
Julia
it.
likes it.
Getting
It's
to watch it
awful.
is a good time.
It's
10 out of 10
bad.
would recommend.
It's bad, and you should feel bad.
I don't.
Anyway, so that's coming up, and you should come back for that. And then on Sunday is going to be our first new recording session of Academy H in a minute. So come back for that, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be recording 2 new episodes, and it's going to be good and fun. And I miss that game, and I'm sure I'm not the only person who does. So come join us. Also, my computer's been doing better, so hopefully it's smooth. We'll see.
Yay!
You're gonna have to turn in to find out. So that is what's up for the rest of this week. Come check all of that stuff out, and it'll be a good time. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it mostly for us here. We are gonna disappear for just a second, and then we are gonna raid into some of our friends. I think probably we will hop over and I think we'll say hi to Amber again. They are streaming. Still, I don't know how much longer they're going to be going for, but they are doing. They are planning a podcast festival as part of their TTRPG study hall, and I don't know what that's about.
Nice.
I just read that off of the description, so let's go find out. Yeah, so we're going to disappear. Don't go away. We're going to hop over and say hi to Amber. There are things that you can do that would be great. You can follow us on all of the socials, which are here. And you can join the Discord community, which is there.
Okay, goodbye.
And that would be great if you want to. The Discord is a great place full of lots of great people. We have a good time, and everybody's very nice. So feel free to come say hi. Also, there are 2 raid messages in the chat. If you are subscribed, you can feel free to copy paste the one that it didn't post. Let's try it again. There it is. Yep. If you are subscribed, you can copy paste the one that actually has our emotes. If you are not, feel free to grab that little raccoon boy. And when we hop over to say hi to Amber, you can hit that in the chat just to let them know that we sent them. Friends, that is going to be it for us. So say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
All right. See y'all next time. Have a good one.